to change their policy. So an audit's a good first step, but they're already complaining, saying an audit will control their monetary policy. And I wish it were so, but the audit's only the first step forward. But you can see how they truly fear transparency. And, the fact that they bought up $2 trillion worth of assets, the biggest thing we need to get out now, though, is that the debt used to be backed by Treasury bills, and the Federal Reserve bought Treasury bills, but now the Federal Reserve buys used car loans. The Federal Reserve buys bad home loans. So there's all kinds of things being monetized now. I think I saw a statistic that 40% of the debt being bought now by the Federal Reserve is not Treasury bills or Treasury bonds. It is used car loans and bad home mortgages and derivatives and all this other craziness.
Well, that's what's scary, is that they've made a big show of paying back a few $100 billion of the trillions that have disappeared into, in many cases, completely foreign banks, not just offshore, multinational. But what they're not explaining is they're taking that money and fractional reserving it, loaning at least 10 times out and leveraging it into derivatives again. So it's just pumping up the bubble even bigger at the cost of the real economy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And if you look at the monetary base, this is the banking reserves plus the currency. The banking reserves last year doubled. And that's what you're talking about. That then goes into the banks and can be multiplied another tenfold. So we doubled the banking reserves, and then when it gets into the system and spreads through the economy, it can be multiplied another tenfold. I think there's no question that ultimately we will be seeing, rampant inflation. And that's what I tell people in this election. I tell the Republicans, I say, look, you want someone like me who can directly draw the debt and say how debt hurts the working class and debt hurts those on fixed incomes, because that's the Democrats usually say, oh, we'll give a handout to those people, and that way we can buy their votes. But I think we have a message, too, that appeals to people. We say, look, the debt causes inflation. High prices hurt those who are least able to afford the rising prices, and we're going to help you. We're going to help you not by giving you a handout. We're going to help you by limiting the debt and correcting inflation.
Well, Dr. Paul, look at the system these bankers create worldwide, a system of dependency, a system of bankrupting societies, creating debt bubbles so big that when they implode, it's a black hole. There's no way to physically pay it back, creating fiat currency and liquidity at many multiples above all the real resources and actual assets in the world. And then they destroy the economy so bad, their argument is, well, you've got to give 90% of your taxes to us in interest on the debt, but we'll give you the 10% in government jobs and government contracts to corporations into welfare. So they give us the crumbs off the table. That's what we've got to explain to the poor people is this is a scam. Of the $23.7 trillion Bloomberg and AP report they've stolen in 10 months, 23+ trillion. You're talking about a few $100 billion of chicken feed that's been actually given to domestic population. So this isn't even really socialism when Newsweek has that headline saying we're all socialists now. Isn't this more akin to fascism?
Well, exactly right. And then you look at, in one of the most galling and glaring episodes, we gave AIG $180 billion, and then we also gave most of their, multi-millionaire executives, we gave them retention bonuses for doing such a great job with their company. I think that kind of thing really galls the public. And the interesting thing in a Republican primary is that I haven't seen good statistics on this, but I can tell you from being out on the stump for 3 or 4 months, 80 to 90% or more Republican primary voters are against the bank bailout. I'll bet you 60 to 70% of Democrats are against it. So as I go around Kentucky, I say, look, I would have voted against this bailout. I've been talking about it for almost a year now, and you get to choose. You get to choose a Republican to be your nominee, and do you want somebody who voted for the bailout? Over half the Republican leadership did, and you've got to decide which direction your party takes. And I think the message is resonating. I worried at first that Republicans would be upset to hear some chastisement of their people, but I think most of them, 2/3 of them were voting against McCain as their nominee. So quite a few Republicans are more conservative than what they're getting out of Washington.
Well, look at Rick Perry and other governors who are clearly globalist. they've been jumping on the bandwagon, talking about secession and fight the New World Order. It's like they're Alex Jones or something. and that's great for me because it makes me mainstream, and suddenly all these big stations are turning us on in major cities because everything I've talked about has now come true. But really, they're only paying lip service. We need real McCoys like Ron Paul and Rand Paul and others who actually have a record and who have spent their whole lives voting and speaking and fighting for true freedom. And so now is the time for people to support folks like yourself. What can people do now? I mean, obviously, once you announce in 2 weeks, the real momentum will kick in. What can they do today to make sure you make that right decision to run for Senate out of Kentucky?
Well, I told you earlier, Alex, last time I was on your show, your listeners shut down my website because they overdid it. We had to buy a bigger server. So we want your listeners to go and test out my website to see if they can overtax it. That's randpaul2010.com. The other thing they can do is we're taking pledges for a money bomb, and that website is runrandrun.com. And we're hoping to get 10,000 people that would give $100 on one day. If we raise $1 million in one day, which I think it's possible, if we did that, it completely transforms my race. It completely makes us really the lead dog in the race and makes us the one to beat. It puts us on the map for the rest of the election. We don't have to struggle month in and month out to see if they'll still include us because of our fundraising. We get all that front end loaded on August 20th.
Absolutely.
Amazing what we could do.
And then that makes the media say, oh, Rand Paul would be great, and his dad's, really popular, but he can't raise that type of money. That makes you a major contender and makes Kentucky media pay attention to you. And then it's a multiplier. You get $1 million, you get $20 million in free coverage in Kentucky.
Exactly. And we're already getting good coverage here. I've had nothing but good coverage so far. We've probably had 10 AP stories. I've been on television. I've been on national television twice. We're getting good coverage here. Every time we do something, we have a conference call for the media, and we're routinely getting between 10 and 15 people on our conference calls for statewide media. So there's a lot going on, but you're right. The key thing that puts me over the top is if that money bomb's successful August 20th.
Well, we'll be sure and have Lyman on, Trevor Lyman and yourself, to try to, or some folks from your campaign, try to get that. Maybe have your daddy on that day to plug the money bomb. But
That'd
I don't know
great.
about all the stupid election rules, but he should be able to do that. All right, we're going to come back, get into what your agenda would be in the U.S. Senate on the carbon tax, gun control, and a lot more. Stay with us. Dr. Rand Paul's our guest.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.